Good morning, everybody. It is Monday, April 16th, 9 a.m. Eastern. The SPY bulls are out, so we don't have a reaction, or we don't have a bearish reaction to the bombing of Syria. And honestly, the fact that it happened Friday night, you couldn't choose a better time. And honestly, I think it might have been chosen that at that time for a reason. But either way, you could not pick a better time for that event to happen on a Friday night because the market then has 48 hours to digest everything and see that there's, no retaliation at this point and no significant pushback. So we got SPY bulls looking great as we head into the start of the morning. We're still in this 4-hour pattern where we are seeing a tightening range, and we're going to be testing the high of Friday on most individual names. Many individual names need to be watching that high of Friday, and it's the same scenario we've seen all last week. If we cannot break the high of Friday early on, look for potential profit taking. SPY bulls will have to break 267.54. We're going to be testing that high of Friday early on, and we have to be watching to see if the bulls can break it or not. If we do see a break, we need to see a volume spike with it. Bulls want to see more than 90 million shares traded today on SPY if we get a bull break, and trying to give that confidence and confirmation of that follow through with volume being a big factor. SPY on the hourly time frame, bull flag confirmed heading into the morning. We consolidated pre-market. We're seeing continuation, and that high of Friday is on the menu for the bulls to attempt to break. So let's look at SPY on the daily time frame. Again, we're going to be seeing a start right up at the high of last Friday, and that's the highest price that we've seen in the last few weeks. So we've got the 50-day moving average resistance and the 100-day moving average resistance. Those are the next two levels to watch. As far as the price levels, if we get a break of 267.54, we're going to continue looking towards our gap fill. That gap fill is 270.19, but there's one level before it, 268.87. So essentially 267.54, 268, and then 268.87 are the next levels that we're going to be watching on SPY. The dollar is dumping, which is a good sign for commodities. Seeing weakness here, lots of red candles in a row now. Hourly RSI is getting oversold. Support is down at 89.44, and next support after that is 89.36. That's the lowest price we've seen. Look at the weekly chart. Bear flag looks a lot more likely, and if we see a break of 88.94, then the bear flag is really likely. So that's what we're watching. Dollar weakness would be a great sign for gold or oil. Checking in on gold. Gold on the hourly time frame, we do have a higher low and a higher high. I would expect gold to be a lot stronger than where we stand right now, in all honesty. The weakness in the dollar that we're seeing, I would be looking for gold to be up in the 1350s fairly easily. But maybe we get a laggard play where the bulls show up later this morning. They just made a bull break of this equilibrium, and we're looking up at resistance of 1348.56. Have to break that resistance level for continuation. And again, just surprising that gold is not stronger. And it could have to do with market strength this morning. The fact that we didn't get a significant reaction by the bears to the Syria bombing could be a reason that gold is a little bit hesitant today. Either way, clear resistance on the hourly. Oil, healthy consolidation on the 4-hour time frame, and really the daily chart is due to consolidate. We had a bearish reversal spinning top candlestick on Friday. We're confirming it today. We will look to form a daily higher low. As soon as the hourly chart shifts back and gives us a higher low and a higher high, then we'll be confident that our daily higher low has been established. At this point, 66.16 is that support level, and we're patiently waiting for a higher low, as we know the oil bulls are in full control, and this dollar weakness is only going to help that case. Natural gas, the weekly time frame, definitely a bull break of 2764, but in terms of this equilibrium, I'm still looking down or looking up at 283.1. Anything under 283.1, and we're going to stay in this tightening range, and I'm waiting for a more clear break either of 261 or 283.1, and we should see this range tighten into the week. So still not liking a clear play on natural gas just yet, as we can still get tight because we had the pullback, we had the bounce, and we affirmed that support, and now we're seeing continuation of the bounce. If we look on the daily time frame, it definitely does look like a bull break, and you could make this play as a bull break because we broke the daily lower highs. But in terms of the longer term pattern, well, that actually looks pretty convincing now on the daily chart. Let's see if the bulls can follow through this week, and a break again of 283 would be a lot more convincing. But bulls definitely have a slight edge now that we did break 2764 resistance. Cryptocurrency, we got Bitcoin pulling back. I am all out of multiple positions over the weekend and stopped out as soon as we lost the higher low pattern. So we're now looking to consolidate and form a daily higher low. We're oversold. The RSI on the hourly time frame is close to oversold, but this daily chart could absolutely consolidate for another couple $100. So we have to keep that in mind. As long as we see lower highs and lower lows on the hourly time frame, the bears keep control and we continue to consolidate on the daily chart. The 4-hour time frame is still a higher low at this point. Bulls are attempting to defend 7875, so we could still keep this 4-hour higher low pattern, but at this point, that's the key level that we're watching. If we lose the 4-hour higher low, that means back off bulls as we have more drawn out consolidation coming. Litecoin, same thing. So 4-hour, we have a double top at the top of the move. We have a 4-hour higher low that is still intact, and we're looking for a daily higher low of consolidation. But Litecoin is definitely the weakest. We've been saying this for over a week at this point. Weakest of the big three for Litecoin, and I have no interest playing it bullish at this point. Ethereum is the strongest of the big three. We have the most space before we break the 4-hour higher low. It also made the most clear bull break for a higher high before this consolidation started. So support is 488. The bull's definitely still in control on Ethereum, and we have a setup for a potential bull flag on the daily chart. Ideal scenario would be for the bulls to not consolidate below 470, and that would have us looking really strong overall. Also got to be watching volume on this consolidation. Bulls want to see low volume to have us confident that our daily higher low is going to be set. So overall, cryptocurrency looking good, but I am patiently waiting for the trade setup to come to me because I don't like any setup right now. There is a potential for a short-term flip on an oversold bounce here on the hourly time frame, and that is a potential trade to be watching this morning. So congrats to the Canadian MJ players and really all MJ players, because we got that news on Friday of Trump not going after states that have legalized it, and we're seeing huge follow-through, at least to start, on the strong closes from Friday. So I am very full up on MJ positions heading into today, and my game plan today is really just looking to sell positions. I'm not looking to enter any new positions this morning because, like I said, I'm full up, and I went in big time on IIPR due to this strength, due to the all-time high being tested today, and due to the lack of resistance after that. Remember last time we saw IIPR, I don't even want to tell you how much money I left on the table on this last run, but on this current run, we know it can run with a little bit of volume going a long way. So 36.53 key resistance test first thing. If we break that level, blue sky breakout. 37, 38 are the next psychological levels we're watching, and this could be a multiple day run. Again, this is significant news for the sector, and we were positioned really well after a bullish reaction to earnings a few weeks ago. It's just an ideal setup. We are overbought, but blue sky breakout, we know that doesn't matter much. So I will be essentially just scaling out of positions today and locking in some profit and seeing how significant the bulls can run things. Also, we're going to be watching Facebook. Facebook has multiple daily inside bars. Check out the video that I made over the weekend in the educational members video section about what I look for trade setups, because tightening ranges is definitely one thing I always look for. And here's Facebook with multiple daily inside bars that are going to break today, likely favoring the bulls. And after that, we'll be looking at 167.45 as the next resistance, and we'll see if the SPY bulls can give us the kind of follow-through that will benefit the Facebook bulls. So ideal scenario would be SPY bulls breaking the high of Friday, Facebook bulls breaking their daily inside bar bullish, and that would give some nice momentum forward. Tesla is also a daily inside bar. Tesla favored the bears with the correlation to the S&P 500 the last 2 days of last week, so that's something to be watching. But we're looking up at a couple key resistances. The first one is 303.95 with key support in the 295 and 293 area. So bulls favored here as well due to market strength. Personally, I'd rather take the stronger name. Well, they're actually both holding up pretty well on the daily time frame. So multiple tight ranges on Tesla and Facebook on the daily time frame set to break very likely today. So let's get into some 5-minute and hourly setups. And again, once we get close to the market open, I'm going to be doing my own thing in terms of monitoring and managing my own positions. So going to be slowing down the analysis a bit first thing until things settle down. Amazon, notable weakness last week compared to the rest of the tech sector. It was almost like we saw the shift in correlation where Amazon was one of the stronger names in the tech sector with Netflix and Apple. And now it's shifting towards one of the weaker names. I won't say weaker, but not as strong. And that's more in line with Facebook and Google. So we're in the middle of the road in terms of strength or weakness on Amazon. We're going to be opening right in the middle of Friday's range, which was a large range. And resistance, if we can't break 1460, we're going to see a daily inside bar very likely. Support is 1425. So that's what we're watching. We can see the all-out dump at the end of the day definitely hurt the bulls, and we're trying to make that back, but we still have a long recovery to make it back towards the high of Friday. So that's another setup where if I'm looking at the Facebook daily chart, I can say, all right, we have daily inside bars forming, and we're going to break a tightening range today. And I can look at the Amazon chart and say, okay, the daily chart is suggesting that an inside bar is more likely than not, and it's entirely possible that we see a consolidating sideways candlestick today. So just looking for volatility, I'm going to look at the name that's breaking the tightening range more than the name that has a wide range that is likely to trade within for at least the first few hours of trading this morning with how we are setting up. BAC. So we got continued financial earnings this week. We've got Netflix earnings today. Netflix earnings after hours are going to affect Google, Amazon, Facebook, Apple, and the entire tech sector. It's the first tech sector earnings report, and there will be a reaction to that. So we have to keep that in mind. BAC, we saw the financial sector sell off on Friday after the first earnings came out and a bullish pre-market, just an all-out dump. Support, I'm looking at 29.80, and resistance is 30.14. Bulls need to break 30.14 to see bounce continuation. There's a lack of resistance after 30.14 because of how much we dumped on Friday, but we have to break 30.14 in the high of pre-market to be looking for continuation and some recovery for this financial sector. Apple is a lead tech bull showing lots of strength. That's been the case now for a couple weeks, and we're looking at continuation. The high of Friday was 175.84. We're going to be testing that first thing. Again, the bulls have to break that first thing, and the next level after that, I'm looking at 176.80. Bulls are in full control in the hourly time frame for Apple currently. Facebook, so it's all about the daily inside bars. That's all we're watching. And the bulls need to see a break first thing of 165.70. We're going to test that resistance first thing this morning. SGMS. SGMS has an hourly uptrend intact. The daily chart gave us a higher low and a higher high. Resistance is 44.50 and 45.10. Support for the bulls to maintain control ideally would be 43.70. If not, we're looking down at the low of Friday, 42.65. So the bulls definitely have some momentum in their favor. And just like everybody else, they need to break the high of Friday. The sooner the better to be looking for continuation. ALB. ALB, we have the higher low on the daily. The bulls need to see a break of 98.49 for a higher high on the daily. But it's all about the high of Friday first thing. Have to break 96.44 for continuation. Range, I'm looking at 94.86 support and 95.70 resistance. We do have a little tight hourly pattern to be watching first thing. If we break 95.70, then we look to the high of Friday as the next resistance level. Trying to change the trend on the daily, but still work to do for those bulls. IIPR looking good. Definitely want to give the bulls a chance to see all-time highs. And definitely want to be cautious about selling. You want to sell on the way up. You want to sell into strength because it's thinly traded, and when it pulls back very quickly. That being said, if it hits blue sky breakout, we could absolutely see a multiple day run. So keeping that in mind, I personally, like I said, I loaded up on Friday. So I'm going to be constantly, slowly scaling out of positions all today and potentially tomorrow if we close strong. So the next couple days is the position that I'm looking to hold, because if we do close strong in a blue sky breakout after today, we know we're going to be positioned really well heading into tomorrow as well. So I am going to be patiently just slowly scaling out. That's my game plan for all MJ plays. Again, at this point, already a week maker and just going to be protecting profit, which is the fun way to trade when there's nothing to lose. And just how much profit you're going to lock in is the only thing you got to worry about. ACBFF. As far as support goes, IIPR will have to establish a new support level. We are going to see a strong open, and the last support was a ways ago. I would say the end of Friday is a support level now at 31.90. So ACBFF, we're going to be looking at a strong open this morning. So big gap on ACB coming. Man, Canadian MJ is looking good. I hope these hold up for the next 15 minutes. So ACBFF, the next resistance we're going to be looking at is 734. And then the next major level is 811. So bull seeing strength, support is 676. We are going to be very extended on these hourly timeframes with these opens this morning on Canadian MJ. So we could consolidate. We will anticipate that when we consolidate, it'll be healthy. But just note that the hourly RSIs are getting very extended. We know the RSI levels can get more extended when there is news involved, which is the case in this instance on most names. Most names have news since we last traded. But definitely want to be aware of that hourly RSI. Twitter on the daily time frame is one of the weaker tech names as well. Just the last week, didn't really see a whole lot of bullish action. Support is down at 28.43. Resistance is 29.46, and 29.90 is the next two levels. Daily middle Bollinger Band resistance is also a factor now as well. So one of the weaker names. We do still have a daily higher low pattern on the bounce the last 2 weeks, but not really much follow through. If you compare it to names like Apple, it's night and day in terms of strength versus weakness. Tesla, already went over the play. It's the inside bar. That's what we're watching first thing. If we do get a bull break of 303.95, which is a double top the last 2 days, again, very clear resistance level. If we break that, the next resistance is up in those 309s. We have a triple top in the 309s. Baba's rejecting from the hourly 20-period resistance, still showing its weakness. Support is 171.07, and resistance is going to be 173.36. And there's a lack of resistance after the high of pre-market because we dumped at the end of the day Friday. So if we can get over that, or not at the end of the day Friday, but we dumped Friday. If we can get over that resistance of 173.36, there could be a little bit more upside. Just keep in mind that the daily chart is definitely one of the weaker daily charts compared to all these major names. Very weak bounce last week, and we already broke the February dump lows, which not many individual names have done. RTN. Not sure if you're looking for the US ticker or what, but we're going to go US. So RTN, higher lows and higher highs on the daily time frame the last, pretty much all last week. Resistance is 222.74. Raytheon, so that's probably going to see some impact from the bombings if I have my fundamentals correct. So resistance is 227.74. If we see this gap up open, it is the highest price we've seen in quite some time. So checking back on the weekly time frame, it's all-time high. So blue sky breakout, 223, 224, psychological resistances. Bulls want to close above the upper Bollinger Band. We've rejected from the daily upper Bollinger Band 5 out of the last 6 days in a row. So update that daily upper Bollinger Band at the open. We'll see if the bulls can get some significant strength and close convincingly above that upper Bollinger Band level. Netflix, definitely going to be watching for the potential of a run-up into earnings, but keep in mind we've been running up all last week. It's already getting priced in. We made the bull break over 300, and just like that, we were up at 317 with over a 5% move in 3 days. So we have been running. Resistance is the high of pre-market and then the high of Friday. And if we don't break the high of pre-market, or if we don't break the high of Friday this morning, we'll be watching for the potential of a daily inside bar heading into earnings. And unless we get extended in one direction or the other, that's the only time I'll be looking for a play in the opposing direction as we head into the end of the day. So if bulls run all day today, then we're going to be looking for a bear play in the last hour of trading as people take profit. CRON. So Cron's running exponential hourly supports. We've got resistance of 745, and then the high of pre-market is 775. Those are the next two resistances. Again, the hourly RSI is pretty overextended. We just got up to 81 pre-market. It's cooling off a little bit on this current candlestick, but if we run up into the the upper $7 range, that hourly RSI is going to be extended. So 745 first thing, 775, and then let's see, 794 is the next level after that. Support on the hourly is 731. Plan for WEED is take partial profit at the open and then watch how the first 15 minutes of trading go. ACIA, dumping. So trying to bounce. We've got resistance of 32.70 and support is a low pre-market 30.57. That's the current range to be watching. And as far as the daily chart goes, we are dumping down to multiple month lows. And this is multiple year lows, breaking 33.68. No support nearby. So we'll see if the bulls can hold the low pre-market, and then 30 psychological will be next. BA on the daily chart. A lot of choppy action. Red, green, red, or red, green, red, green, red every other day last week. So a lack of consistency. We are seeing a higher open, but it's still towards the low of Friday. Support is 329.28. And in terms of resistance, looking at the hourly from Friday's action, resistance is 332.45 first thing to break the high of the bounce attempt from Friday afternoon. SCU.TO strength on the hourly, healthy consolidation. But it's a bearish reversal candlestick on the daily. If we break 359, we're going to continue consolidating. Update the daily upper Bollinger Band at the open and the hourly 20 period. Those are the first two supports to be watching if we break 359. So healthy consolidation at this point. We'll see if the bulls can hold the upper Bollinger Band on the back test on the daily chart. PG, strong start as well. High of last week. Looks like it's going to be tested pre-market. So I'm looking at resistance. We're seeing a gap up open. So resistance is 78.70, followed by 78.84, 78.85, a little double top at those levels. So I'd say the first key resistance is 78.85, and then 79.36. We're a bit extended as well with this gap up open, so we have to be watching the hourly RSI, still under 70. So we still can see continuation. And the support will be the low of pre-market first thing. UAA, weak, trying to bounce, but hourly exponential resistance. Lower high and lower low on the daily Friday. 1638 is support. And hourly exponential moving averages are resistance. Also looking at 1665 as a resistance level. But the trend has shifted on the daily. With that lower high and lower low, bulls really need to hold the 50-day moving average support, which is held twice in March. And we're going to be testing that level this week. BTL. I think it's BLT. Either way, I'm not getting BTL. Oh, BTL.V. So BTL.V had a bull break of the inside bars. The bulls are still in full control. Unless we can't break, unless we double top at 797. That would be the only top fishing resistance I would be looking at this point. The bulls are definitely still strong. So if we can't break 797, it is a potential top fishing play. But we did have a clear bull break on Friday. Why? So YY is extremely weak. The daily time frame is all bears. The hourly chart, oversold bounce is still pretty weak. Hourly 20-period moving average resistance. Support is down at 90.19. So 90.19 is support. Resistance is 92.42. And then the hourly 20-period resistance, which rejected the price on Friday. And that daily chart is definitely all bears, about to be over, or actually we just entered oversold on Friday. BUDZ. So huge bull move yesterday or Friday, benefiting from the announcement. The entire sector is. So resistance 555. If we see a gap up open, I'm looking at 630. And then 7 as the next couple resistance levels. There's a lack of resistance nearby, and these MJ names have a lot of momentum in their favor. We'll see how much run we can get. AMD, hourly 20-period resistance, rejecting the price all pre-market. Have to get over that level. Low pre-market is support, 995. Resistance is 1003 and 1009. Daily middle Bollinger Band resistance to update as well. And a little bit of a double top at 1020 and 1022 on the daily. Very clear resistance to be watching. Bulls have to see a more convincing break to get over that level and to see follow through on the bounce attempt on the daily. It's definitely still weak until we can break 1022. Microsoft, one of the stronger tech names as well, 94.18, has to break first thing. It's a double top, have to break resistance. And if we break 94.18, I'm then looking up at 95.14. LABU. So LABU still watching for potential healthy consolidation after we ran so hard in the biotech sector all last week. Resistance is 84.01 and then 86. 84.01 and then 86.25. Looking at support, it's the low pre-market of 83.16, and then looking down to 82.20 is the next level after that. So it's healthy consolidation on the daily. We're looking for a higher low to be established, and we'll see if the bulls can see a higher low established early this week to be looking for continuation. TSRO. So TSRO is lower high and lower low on the hourly time frame. The daily chart is a very clear downtrend, and the must-hold level after 52 support is 50.67. Those are the two support levels. Anything under 56.61 is a lower high on the daily. And I'm also looking at resistance on the hourly of 53.19. So just a couple support levels, all bears on this daily chart. No sign of the trend change at this point. SPLIF needs to see a break of 35. Have to break 35 first thing. Resistance is 349 and 385 are the next two levels. Same thing, we have no idea how much continuation we're going to get on the MJ plays. And we should get a good sign in the first hour of trading today. BTC hourly oversold bounce attempt. Have to be watching the 15-minute RSI down at 20. The hourly RSI getting oversold, and key support is the 4-hour time frame approaching 7,875. EWZ, gonna go quick here, and then I am focusing on MJ plays. EWZ 20-period hourly resistance, and also looking at 4280. Have to break 4280 to see some continuation, and then 43 psychological would come after that. Daily chart, very clear downtrend, lower highs and lower lows. Bulls trying to form a higher low on the daily at 4232. Need to break 4370 on the daily to break the downtrend and shift the trend to begin to favor the bulls. F, bulls need to see a break of 1139. And looking at support, not a whole lot of support until 1123, the low of Friday. 1139 and 1154 are the two key, well, 1139 and 1155, we have a double top at that level. Those are the next key levels for the bulls to try and continue the higher low, higher high pattern on the daily time frame, which has been occurring the past couple months. But if you look at the weekly time frame, it's looking like we may top out sooner rather than later, judging by the weekly candlestick. So need to keep the higher low pattern on the daily. 1123, and the big red flag will be if we lose 1107 on the daily chart. Here we go, heading into the open. Let's see how Canadian MJ is shaping up. Pretty solid gap up open. APH has a reaction to earnings coming. Gap up on IIPR. Gap up on the sector itself, MJ, the ETF. And as far as taking profit, market order is going to ensure that you take profit, but you could very easily get filled at the low of the day and then we continue running. If you use a market order, that's just a risk you have to take. SPY strength, but we have to break 267.54 for convincing follow-through. And again, we need to see volume. We had a bull break on Thursday last week, but there was no volume behind it to give us any kind of convincing action. Or convincing follow-through, I should say. Remember, volume is our prove it indicator. We need the bulls to prove it with that volume. So nice strong start to Canadian MJ. Took a small amount of profit right at the open. And just scaling out is the easy way to do it. You could also just hold out and wait to see if we lose a higher low pattern on the 5-minute time frame as an exit signal. And we'll wait for the bid and the ask to settle down a little bit, as it usually takes about 10 minutes to do so in Canadian MJ. So partial profit taken on WEED. I'm holding APH still. I had a smaller position on APH. IIPR, keeping an eye on the all-time high. Big bid and ask spread there as well. So just took a partial amount of APH profit as well, just slowly scaling out. So WEED, or I should say SPY to start the day, is unable to break the high of yesterday, or Friday, so we are pulling back. Support, key support, the most important support for me pre-market is 266.50. And this is a fairly similar setup to how we started Friday's trading. IIPR not really seeing much volume this morning. The price is all right, but definitely no volume pushing up towards that all-time high at this point. High of the day test for APH. And in terms of percentage gainers, APH is up the most on the back of its earnings. Continued weakness on SPY as we're approaching key pre-market support. And we just broke that key pre-market support, so the next level is now the low of pre-market. Looking down at 266 even as the next support. So not the kind of start the SPY bulls we're hoping for. Have to be watching for the potential effect that this may have on the MJ plays. And we want to see Canadian MJ hold their low of the day at this point. So right now it is the tech sector that is the strongest. Financial sector is number 2. Tesla weakness continues. It looks like Tesla unable to get a break of the daily inside bar bullish, and now we're testing the low of Friday, 295.98. So Tesla, weak correlation compared to the overall market continues. That happened at the end of last week, and it's showing up here again. Took a little more WEED profit with the new low of the day. Also took a little bit of IIPR profit just because that was the biggest position I had. So SPY 5-minute RSI, just like that, getting oversold. Apple is bouncing. The 20-period 5-minute moving average will be resistance, and we topped out right at the high, just under the high of Friday. Couldn't break it, and then we saw profit taking. 20-period 5-minute moving average resistance is 175.60, and the bulls will have to form a 5-minute higher low and higher high to change this trend. So at this point, I'm out 70% of my WEED position just because we have not found a low of the day yet. And I'll take some more APH profit if we see a new low of the day there. IIPR definitely not the strong follow-through we were looking for first thing, but also that SPY weakness certainly not helping. Keeping in mind that IIPR is probably more subject to US market correlation than Canadian MJ. We will be looking for a SPY oversold bounce on the 5-minute time frame before we get to the low of pre-market, which is 266. And I did exit all of my APH position to lock in that solid 6% move. So at this point, I've exited the vast majority of Canadian MJ, and I'm keeping some more IIPR due to the proximity to that all-time high. Volume on Friday for IIPR was 233,000. So definitely would be expecting a bit more volume this morning if we were going to see the all-time high today. And at this point, I will be holding the rest of my WEED position to see if the bulls could see a new high of the day later this morning. Tesla extremely weak, down over 2% with the market still up 0.5%. NVDA now joining the red. Riot pulling back significantly, so it looks like this consolidation in the cryptos is being seen in these blockchain names. So IIPR gap up for selling so far this morning. We need to establish a higher low on the hourly. The last hourly support is down at 32. So we ran real hard without establishing a lot of support on Friday. And hourly RSI cooling off from well into the 80s. SPY is still weak. 5-minute RSI is just now under 30 as we're at the low, or approaching the low of the day. Netflix definitely holding up as the strong, well, Apple and Netflix, it's been all multiple weeks now holding up as the strongest tech names, but one by one, screen is getting more red here. And it does look like Canadian MJ is seeing a little bit of correlation with this SPY weakness. So SPY support on the hourly is the 20-period hourly about to be tested. That's at 266.08, lining up just above the low of pre-market. And this 5-minute RSI is quickly getting into the mid-20s. Bitcoin oversold bounce trying to play out. Bullish reversal candlestick forming on the hourly, but we need to see the 5-minute time frame with higher lows and higher highs to have confidence. And here's that lower pre-market test on SPY with the 5-minute RSI at 25. Biotech sector first to go red out of the major sectors on my screen, and we're looking at the low of Friday of 88.87 as support. Tesla broke the inside bar on the daily time frame bearish and also broke the low of Thursday. So now we're looking down at the low of consolidation of 289.21 key support. So the bulls holding that low of pre-market at this point, holding the hourly 20-period moving average as well. Amazon, Apple, and Netflix standing out as some of these stronger names. CMG also having a good day. CMG is a bit of a daily equilibrium pattern. And resistance on CMG is 328.40. So SPY will be back testing exponential resistances on the 5-minute time frame on this bounce attempt. And oil on the 5-minute time frame dumped right at the open of the market. Potential for some correlation there. I'll be keeping an eye on that. APH definitely standing out as the strongest Canadian MJ name this morning. NVDA well in the red now. The next support on NVDA is going to be down at 228.21. It's pretty healthy consolidation on the daily time frame, though. We will be looking for a higher low to form on NVDA. Apple's at the high of the day. Apple's looking great. High of Friday, 175.84 has broken, so 176.80 is the next resistance. W's at the low of the day. The daily chart is extremely weak. Support is 66.15, and after that level, 66 psychological, and then no support nearby. So key support test approaching. Let's put up this SPY 4-hour chart yet again as we continue to stay in this range. Still struggling in the 266, 267 range. ACIA has no support at these levels. And we're approaching the all-time low now. $23 is the all-time low. Potential for a bottom fishing play with that $23 level. Hourly RSI is at 9. Very high risk, high reward. It's going to move a lot. It's thinly traded. New low of the day on WEED, just slow and steady, lower highs and lower lows. And I am all cash for Canadian MJ at this point. So SPY new resistance is the high of the bounce attempt, rejecting from exponential resistance 266.75, a resistance level to watch now. Tesla next support is that key support I just mentioned in the 389s, the low of consolidation. MEG support is 601 and 598, pretty much trading sideways today. Daily inside bar is forming. Looks like the bull's running out of a little bit of momentum. And if we do get a daily inside bar, if we get a bear break tomorrow, that would be a short-term trade to act on. IPR has to find a new hourly higher low of support. We're back testing the upper Bollinger Band on the daily in the 34.70 range. The bulls want to close over the daily upper Bollinger Band. But like I said, the last hourly support was down at $32. So looking for a healthy hourly consolidation, cooling off RSI levels, and need to establish a new base of support. I sold some shares at $35.50 and still keeping a good amount. And we'll have to see a shift from lower highs and lower lows on the 5-minute time frame to higher lows and higher highs to let us know that our hourly higher low of support is forming. And again, SPY at the low of the day, definitely not helping any of these MJ plays. With momentum in the markets favoring the bears since the open. So SPY bulls doing everything they can to try and hold the low of the day. Biotech sector continued weakness down at the lows. APH is definitely the Canadian MJ winner for today. And if we do see a new low of the day on SPY, the next support level that we're going to be looking at on the hourly time frame, the gap on the hourly from the pre-market open is down at 265.38. ACIA still weak, approaching that all-time low of $23. Definitely going to be interested in watching the price as it gets to that point. More and more red on the screen. Now Facebook's in the red. Netflix in the red. Apple's the only tech bull still holding on in the green. JNJ is all bulls. Definitely overbought on the 5-minute time frame. Next resistance price level is 132.78, and the daily upper Bollinger Band will be after that. So SPY bulls still holding the low of the day at this point. We have to break 266.75 for the bulls to gain any kind of momentum shift in their favor. Tesla at key support on the daily time frame. And after 289.21, there's no clear support nearby. Well, actually 288.20, and then there's no clear support nearby. The higher low on SPY has been established as the bulls try and turn the momentum around. BKNG quadruple top at 21.05 is the level to break. By bulls trying to give us a 5-minute higher low and higher high. Currently struggling at the high of the last bounce attempt, 266.75. If we break that level, it's just the high of the day is the next resistance. MU could form a bull flag on the daily with healthy consolidation. We did get a bull break on SPY, so they did shift momentum back in their favor. Now the must-hold support is 266.17. That's our 5-minute higher low. IIPR, I would use the 15-minute chart for support levels. Key support is 33.43. And again, watching for the bulls to potentially show up here as we see the SPY bulls shift momentum. Very thin in both directions, which is why you want to be selling in the opposing direction. Meaning if I'm looking to sell, I want to sell into strength. APH still looking good. You can see everybody picking up a little bit in terms of the bulls now that the SPY bulls have broken that 5-minute lower high. WEED trying to get back over 31. So 267.08 and 267.54 are the next SPY resistances. V 5-minute higher low is 121.72. We already broke the high of Friday, and there's a lack of resistance after the high of today. So bulls just trying to give a slow and steady climb back towards that high of the day, keeping the 20-period 5-minute support. ACIA still pulling back. Bitcoin 5-minute higher low and higher high, so the oversold bounce is underway. We will be looking for the hourly chart to set a lower high on this bounce. But we are still holding 4-hour higher lows at this point. If I were adding APH on a new high of the day, it would just be with a short-term mindset for the trade. Again, already up 8%. I know risk to reward does not favor reward very much at those levels. SPY definitely has some indecision to start today, but the fact that we started the day up, more than 0.5% definitely favors the bulls. Just need clear break on volume. And again, we don't really have a ton of volume today. Not going to be very convinced about a bull break of this 4-hour pattern we've been watching unless there's volume accompanying it. And right now, today is a daily inside bar for SPY. So as I highlighted in the video from over the weekend on my preparation, if I can see that a candlestick is forming and that the odds of a daily inside bar are likely, I know to scale back my trading, because tightening ranges means limited opportunity as opposed to breaking tightening ranges. Checking back in the dollar on that dump. Oversold bounce attempt on the hourly trying to play out. Gold did break to higher highs, so it did act as a bit of a laggard first thing this morning. Oil has been bouncing. Low of the day on oil was at 9.35. Low of the day on SPY was shortly after that. Definitely looks like an oil correlation this morning. Definitely watching Apple and BKNG on SPY strength if we see a new high of the day. And we'll be watching Tesla if we get SPY weakness. Tesla at key daily support. Apple 5-minute equilibrium pattern support is 175.28. Resistance is 175.96. WYNN up at the high of the day. We did get the bull break on the daily chart for win. Now the bull's trying to establish a new higher low on the daily. The low of today is 182.38. And key resistance is the daily upper Bollinger Band, which has been rejecting the price Thursday and Friday. That's currently, it'll be about 187 by the time we get to it. In terms of price resistance, 187.84. Financial sector has now taken the lead ahead of the tech sector in terms of strength this morning. It could be a fairly slow day if the SPY bulls can't see this break of the high of yesterday. Comparing volume. So far, Friday's first hour of trading, we had 13 million. And right now we're looking at likely to be less than Friday. So at this point for IIPR on the weekly time frame, we are going to have to be concerned about a double top at the all-time high. 36.53 is the all-time high. Today we opened at 36.10. So missed the all-time high by about 1.5% or less. But it's also the weekly time frame could be shaping up for a cup and handle pattern as well. So IIPR is definitely going to be interesting for the rest of the summer. Daily chart certainly favors the bulls. It was just a gap up for profit taking kind of day. General rule of thumb, gap ups are for selling. IWM is also a daily inside bar. Hourly RSI is one of the reasons that I was taking Canadian MJ profit today. And WEED hourly RSI is still up at 76. Not entirely too overbought, but definitely on the higher end, especially on a gap up open scenario. So the SPY bulls must hold 266.17 or it is a clear bear break if that level fails. Bitcoin bounced with little follow through at this point. Potential hourly bear flag is forming. So fairly uneventful morning for SPY. WEED on the 5-minute time frame needs to break $31. It's still very healthy consolidation on the 5-minute for WEED at this point. So far, if I were actively looking to trade SPY today, I would pretty much not do anything unless we broke the high of the day at this point. Because otherwise, it's a daily inside bar. SPY bulls trying to form a new 5-minute higher low at 266.39. Apple on the 5-minute time frame broke the equilibrium bearish. SPY bulls doing their best to keep that 5-minute higher low pattern alive. WEED with a bull break on the 5-minute time frame, trying to make their way back to the high of the day. If we see a new high of the day, the hourly RSI will be at 80. Cron has changed momentum as well with a higher low and a higher high. And resistance from here is up at 755 and then 775. It too is overextended. Four-hour RSI on Cron is up at 77. APH clear lead bull with continuation and a new high of the day. Next level is really 13. I guess 1269 is the next level, and then 13. THCX new high of the day. And a very key bull break over 435 the past couple days. And the next resistance level is up at 460. That's a good looking longer term chart. Breaking clear multiple tops on the weekly by getting over the 430s very convincingly now. So not a whole lot of weekly resistance until the all-time highs. Here are the SPY bulls at the high of the day. Let's get some volume and a clear bull break. 267.54 is the level to be watching. And we got the high of pre-market as well, 267.29. Keeping an eye on the lead bulls if these market bulls can solidify their control. Apple, BKNG, Amazon standing out as pretty strong today. Google and Amazon are about at the same spot in terms of today's action. CAN is definitely overextended in the sense that we have gapped up. It's a bearish reversal 3-gap up pattern, telling us that the bulls are running out of momentum. We're likely to see a volume climax today on the daily chart. 5-minute support is 515. Resistance is 534. And then 593 is the next level. So lack of resistance definitely helping these bulls. But we are very overbought. Hourly RSI on CAN is 91. And the 4-hour is 89. That is very overbought. So SPY is testing the high of pre-market. Then we got the high of Friday. And if we break the high of Friday, we're going to start favoring a bull break on this 4-hour pattern, which again, the bulls continue to struggle with. But over the high of Friday, we're going to be making a pretty good dent in terms of clearing that resistance zone. But again, if we can't break that high of Friday, it's just a daily inside bar. So I'm going to wrap up the morning webcam now. We're watching Canadian MJ still very strong, in control by the bulls, but knowingly overbought on the hourly time frame. SPY bulls have momentum in their favor, but we know not to really trust the bulls in this zone of resistance until we see some volume and a clear bull break. And if we get that volume and clear bull break, we have our strongest names to be watching. Key resistance test on BKNG is approaching as it's at the high of the day. Hope you all have a good rest of your morning. I'll be back in 15 minutes to continue coverage in the chat room. Baba is also trying to become one of the stronger names today after bouncing from the lows. And still going to be watching ACIA and the all-time low of $23 because we are not getting much bounce at all, and that hourly RSI is single digits. I have to dig around at that news, see how significant it is.